Hello, you people out there in internet land. My name is Britt Kolick. I use they, she pronouns, and I'm a stage manager. So what exactly does that entail? What does a stage manager do is the question I get asked most often by people who are not in theater, but I think that sometimes even people who are in theater don't quite know exactly what stage managers do. So I'm here, thought it would be a great way to kick off the channel by saying just exactly what I do in very broad strokes. I'm not going to get into too much detail or minutia. Those will be for later videos, and we'll go way more in depth on concepts like a designer run, a paper tech, a cue to cue, all that sort of thing. So I'm going to try to paint in very broad strokes on this, give everybody a generalized idea of what my experience as a stage manager has been so far. Again, this is my experience. This will vary from show to show, company to company. A straight play is different from a musical, is different from an opera. And I'm going to try to do it in 10 minutes or less because nobody likes a long video and no one likes someone who just blabs about their job forever in drones. So let's see if I can keep this clear, concise, and under 10 minutes. And here we go. So I am there, a stage manager is there from concept to closing. I'm there through the whole production process. So a concept meeting. Say you want to do a show. Company wants to put on a play. They pick the play, they get the rights to it, they pick a designer or designers, they pick a director, they pick a stage manager, and we all get together and have a concept meeting. That can be either over Zoom or in person. It's just all the designers, the director, the stage managers, and then usually a couple members of production staff who are a part of the company or just outlying members of the production staff, like a production manager. They come to a meeting and we talk about the concept. We talk about our ideas and our visions. The stage manager's job through all of this is to just take notes and then to make sure that those notes get translated correctly and sent to everyone on the production staff basically, and usually put into like a Google Drive or something that can be readily accessed by everybody, just so people who maybe weren't at the meeting can go and read them. So yeah, that's a concept meeting. The director will say what they think the play's about and what they want to do. Designers will be on probably a first or second read of the play and start giving their ideas, talking about, agreeing with the director, hey, I think we should try this. It's just to get the creative juices flowing and to make sure that everyone is starting to focus in on this play that we're going to do. And this usually happens before auditions. So auditions are really fun for me because I have either one of two jobs. Either I'm in the room or I'm in the waiting room. Being in the room is being next to the director, AD, whoever else is in the room at the time. I'm usually pulling up resumes and headshots on my laptop so that the director can see credits, all of that sort of good thing. And I might get asked my opinion on, hey, did you like this? I really liked it. What did you think? Or he's rough, etc. Thoughts, have you worked with them before? All this sort of thing. Sometimes I don't get asked at all. It all depends on the director. What's really interesting is when I'm in the waiting room. So when you're in the waiting room, I'm usually checking people in, making sure they filled out their audition forms, have sent resumes, headshots. I'm collecting anything that hasn't been already sent. But what's kind of exciting is I get to people watch. I get to see how actors behave with each other. I get to see, who blew me off, who didn't treat me correctly, who is psyching the other actors out. Or I knew an actor who was just very talkative and he was very animated and liked to have conversations with people. And it was actually a way that relaxed him and I found relaxed other actors. So I'm watching all of this, and then when we all meet up at the end of auditions and people are talking about, who they liked, who they didn't like, some guy could have a really great audition. And when they ask me, hey, how did he behave in the waiting room? Sometimes it's my call. If he treated me like crap, if he came unprepared, if he psyched out his other actors, if he acted like he was holier than thou, I'm going to say that. And no one wants to work with a jerk. So if you were a jerk, you're probably not going to get cast. But if I talk about, hey, they were, very polite, prepared, ready, they seemed, they were reading their script in the waiting room, just making sure that they were prepared. Those are good qualities you want in an actor. That's someone who's going to get cast. So those are my two jobs that are in the audition process. Now we go to rehearsals. We usually start with a read-through. It depends on the director. I know some directors who absolutely hate read-throughs, and just a read-through is we're going to read through the play. My job as an SM for that would be to either read people who aren't here, because some people are absent for the read-through, or I'll read major stage directions. I'll usually have my SM just also go through, and any props that are mentioned, just write them out. That way we can confirm with our props master, hey, this is what we have, what do you have? So we have a preliminary prop list to start from, and then the real work begins. So during a rehearsal, I am filling out something called a rehearsal report, which is a wonderful sheet of paper that just has all the information about the rehearsal, date, time, location, who's present, who's absent, who was late, what we've been scheduled to do, and then what we ended up doing. And then it has little sections for each part of the production, so scenic, props, lighting, costumes, orchestra, choreographers, and those are places that I get to write questions, concerns, comments, and that gets sent to the entirety of the production staff. So every rehearsal, they should be looking at that. Usually it's just all through email. I'm getting emailed answers back, and anything that I don't get answers to gets brought up at a production meeting, which I'll talk about in 1 second. So I'm filling out a rehearsal report. I'm also taking down the blocking of everybody in the show, whether there's 2 people or 200 people. I am taking down everybody's blocking so that we have a clear, concise sort of Bible of sorts of this is everyone's blocking in case the director forgets, an actor forgets, which has happened. So I try to be really good about my blocking. My ASM will usually be taking tracking of props, costumes, scenic pieces, seeing who is available to help move pieces, or hey, you gotta do a quick change as an actor, also there to help. You have a prop, can you toss it to this person who's available? All of that sort of thing. It is figuring out the mechanics of all of the technical elements that we don't have yet. So we're playing with imaginary items. We have production meetings. The ones that I've been to so far have been weekly, so every week I sit in a Zoom and talk with designers and my director. I get questions answered if they weren't already answered from the report, or sometimes designers will ask me questions like, hey, does this need to be load bearing or weight bearing? Like, if somebody's sitting on it, can this be on wheels without locking mechanisms, all that sort of thing, just to make sure that everything is being made safely, but everything is being made to be a help, not a hindrance. So we do a rehearsal process. It's usually several weeks. I've done it anywhere from 3 weeks to 13 weeks. And then we do tech. So tech sort of starts for me around a designer run. We have the designers come in, they see a run of the show. I'm timing that. I'm making a rehearsal report. I am also talking through any cues that my director has wanted that we need to make sure the actors get used to. A lot of times it was music, or it's a dinging of a bell, or it's a blackout, stuff like that. So that all happens in a designer run. The designers go and make their cue sheets. They give them to me. We do a paper tech, which I just talk through all of the cues with them. And then we get into actual tech. So we have a load-in. Sometimes I'm there for load-in, usually to set up dressing rooms, make sure everything's good. If my ASM and I have a lot of time available that day, we'll go and make prop tables, make sure all of that's ready to go. When we finally get our actors in, usually the next day, I will tour them through the space, usually with my ASM bringing up the rear just to make sure everyone's together. We'll tour through the space, everyone can get an idea of where the dressing rooms are at, where are places that they're going to be having quick changes, where they're allowed to eat. That's always very important. And also of just any sort of hazards or things that might be in the way. Say we have a fogger on the ground that is going to have gaff over the cord and glow tape, but also just hey, there's going to be a fogger here. Just be aware if you have to make a cross, all of that sort of thing. Sometimes we do a dry tech, which will be without actors. That'll be myself, my lighting and sound designer, my director. We'll go through cue to cue to cue just to make sure everything looks the way that we've designed it, that the director wants it to be. And then we'll do a cue to cue with the actors, meaning we just go through every cue of the show. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer because you have a whole transition. You have to time the way the blackout is going to be, or the way the fade is, or how long the music has to go, and we're making adjustments on the fly. It's sort of my first sort of feel of calling the show. We'll have a dress the next day, meaning actors are in full costume, and that will be hopefully a full run. And pending any major things happening, we do that. Hopefully we get like 2 or 3 dresses in before we open. And then once we open it, once we get into tech, the show sort of becomes mine and my ASMs, and we are trusted. We are given sort of the keys to the kingdom. It's like, here is this great artistic vision that we've all had and created. We trust Jins to keep the integrity of it. So what I do for a show day typically is I get there, help my ASM set up anything. I set up a performance report, which is just like a rehearsal report, except it's all about the performance, how many, audience count, if the audience, how they were reacting, especially if there's like a lot of jokes, it's a funny show. And then just any major thing that happened, like, oh, a set piece broke, we need someone to come in and fix it. I'm communicating with the front of house to make sure we can open on time, to make sure that we can start after intermission on time. And then I'm calling the show. Every light, sound, anything you hear in theater goes on my GL. So I'm just making sure that that's happening and that the show runs smoothly and efficiently. And yeah. So just about 10 minutes, that is roughly what I do. Pending strike, which here, I guess for the sake of continuity, when a show ends, I will help strike, usually just tearing down pieces of paper I've put places, picking up any spike tape that we've had. I'll help load props up, take anything back to the studio space that we need, all that sort of thing. And then, I get to hand out checks as well. That's always been like a fun, I've gotten to hand out the checks before. So that's really fun to be able to see my actors one last time and be like, hey, thanks for a great show. Here's your payment. And then I'm done. That's it. So 10 minutes, 35 seconds, not bad. And that is just a very broad understanding of all of the many jobs that I do as a stage manager. My hope through this channel is to go through them in much more detail, walk you through exactly what a rehearsal day looks like, what does tech week look like, what's the day-to-day like, what do I do on a show day, what's a dry tech, what's a paper tech, what's a designer run exactly, what do people do, what are their jobs, and what do they do during like a paper tech. So, but for now, this is what a stage manager does. I've been Britt Kolick. I'm still working on an outro, so drink water. And have a good one, guys. I will see you all in the next video.